Hello, my name is Abby Beach, and I teach 7th grade math at Levelland Middle School. I wanted to take some time to show you some of the features of the math program that we will be using this year, which is Digits by Pearson. First, in order to get to the website, if you go to Google, you're going to want to search for Digits Realize. And then the first thing that's going to come up is mymathuniverse.com/digitsrealize. You want to click on that. It'll prompt you to bookmark, which you can or cannot do, but you can simply hit X to get out of that prompting. And then you want to scroll till you see Login to Digits as a returning user. It will bring you to this website. I have created a username for my parents to be able to go in and kind of just see what the interface looks like and be able to play around with it. So you can use that as needed. If your student doesn't have me in class, you are still welcome to use this, but your teacher might have a login for you specifically as well. So mine is Beach, integrated parent. If you have a student in my integrated class, if you have a student in my advanced class, it would be Beach advanced parent. And if you have a student in my block class, it would be Beach block parent. For all of these, they will have the same password, which is Tigers with a capital T and then 14. Now, once you log into the site, there are three main options. You have programs, classes, and grades. Now, grades is not going to be a very useful tool for us because we are not using their grading platform as a way to grade our students. All of your students' grades will be listed on Progress Book, and those will be the current percentages. Sometimes if you click on the grades within Pearson, the percentages that are shown may not match the percentages that we use to grade students. For example, the assignment that I gave earlier this week, I decided to count 3 of the questions as extra credit, so therefore the percentages on here would not reflect those questions being counted as extra credit. So please, for student grades, refer to Progress Book for their most updated grades. The other 2 sections, class and programs, are going to be very helpful for us. I'm going to start by going through the different features of classes, which you can access in the middle of the screen and also up at the top. So within classes, we have 3 different sections. We have Not Started, In Progress, and Completed. All completed assignments will show up in the completed section. Anything that has started but not finished, for example, if you have some time in school that they're working on some of the homework but haven't yet finished it and are coming back to it at home, that would be found in Progress. And then anything that I have assigned that they have not yet opened would be in Not Started. So I'm going to go to one of my In Progress assignments to show you what that would look like. So my 1-1 homework G. Notice it is past due, but this is the parent account, so most of these assignments are not turned in, but you can see once you click on the assignments if it is if it is not within the limits of the due date. Then you click on it again and click Start. Once you are within a homework assignment, as you can see, this one is in progress. If you look at a question that is in progress, you can see a little green check and also the check on my correct answer. Within any question, you have the option of Question Help in the top right-hand corner. And within Question Help, there are several different examples that we will come back to later, but you also have some different tools like printing, access to a calculator, although I do recommend that you use a calculator that is not within the computer just because it tends to be a little bit faster. There are math tools that if you click on, it will bring up a new window where students can access a bunch of different math manipulatives to help them solve problems. They also have a math glossary video and then 2 different tools that can help the students answer their problems, which we will come back to later. At the bottom, we have Next. We also have Back. And then there's this part right here that says Showing All Parts. Now, if your student opens up a homework assignment that is in progress, what you want to do is you want them to click Next until they see a problem that does not have that green arrow up at the top. That means that this problem has not yet been answered and therefore not scored. Once you get here, you will also see the Check Answer button. So if I were looking at this question, I would automatically see that this is a one-part question because down here at the bottom it says that all parts are showing. If this was a multi-part question, then it would say one of however many parts are in the question are showing. So that indicates how many different things you're going to have to do before you have completed this problem. Now, if you are trying to answer this question and you have no idea how to do it, you have two different options available to you within Question Help. We have Help Me Solve This, and then we also have View an Example. If you click on Help Me Solve This, this is an interactive helping tool that asks students guiding questions throughout the question that they're trying to answer. And students must answer those questions correctly before you can move on to the next step. So once you click on it, you see that the question is just repeated, and I have two parts remaining of this Help Me Solve This. So I can click Continue, and then it's going to ask me to multiply each term of my ratio by 3, in which case I would answer. And then I would check my answer, and I got that correct, and it indicates that to me before showing me the next part that I would need in order to help me solve this question. Now, once I click Close, I have the same general question, but the numbers in my question have changed, so now I have to try to solve that question without that helpful tool. Now, the other one, we talked about Help Me Solve This, which changed the numbers in my problem that I needed to solve. But there is also View an Example, which is very similar, and I can click through this. But notice that the numbers that they are showing me as an example do not match the numbers in my particular problem. So when using this, when I click Close, it does not change the numbers in my problem. Now, both tool is helpful. I prefer the Help Me Solve This, especially for one-part questions, but sometimes if you have a 3-part question and you are on the 3rd part, you might want to use the View an Example before you use Help Me Solve This, just so that it doesn't restart all of the progress that you have already made. You can use these arrows to go back to previous questions or forward to questions, and then at the end you will click a button that submits the work. And once that is submitted, the results will be sent to your teacher. It is very important to click this button or else the score will not be sent to the teacher. So after I complete this problem, I can click Submit My Work, and after I submit my work, I see my score along with all of the different questions that I got correct. I also at this point have the option to click Try Again if I want to retry the entire assignment, and it will replace my previous score. Now, if I do decide to try it again, I have to rework all the problems. But if I were to, within working on the homework assignment, click on an incorrect answer choice, and it tells me that it isn't correct, and I try this 3 times. At this point, I have gotten the question wrong, and that will be reflected in my end percentage. But if I don't want to rework the entire assignment, but just want to rework this problem that I did not understand, I can click Similar Exercise. When I click Similar Exercise, it will give me a new problem with new numbers, but notice I have this X up here at the top. But if I answer this new question that it gave me correctly, then my score for this question alone will be replaced in my overall percentage. So really, if students are taking advantage of the Similar Exercise function within the program, they should not have to redo entire homework assignments, and they should always be getting 100% because they shouldn't move on until they have gotten each question correctly. Now, that being said, if a student is spending more than 45 minutes on homework a night, then that indicates that they are not understanding something that we want them to understand, or that it is taking them more time, and maybe there is some helpful tips that we can use to guide them. At this point, we would like the students to stop working on their homework and either send their teachers an email, or they can come and talk to us in the morning about the difficulty that they were having, and that difficulty will be addressed accordingly. Now, if you go back to the home screen, there's also Programs. Under Programs, this is where you can find in-class materials that can be used as a refresher. So for example, I went into Unit A, and then we just did 1-1. So the first one talks about my topic, and then the second one talks about my lesson. So 1-1 would be this lesson. Now once I click on it, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can look through. These would be helpful for students that are absent the day that a homework assignment is due and want to look at what they missed so that they aren't behind when they come back to school. It's also really helpful for parents who are trying to help their students and just need a quick refresher of the content. And it's helpful for students that are struggling that need to review what was talked about in class. Within this, I recommend that the students focus mainly on the key concept, which talks about the overall idea that we are trying to get students to learn from this particular lesson. And then also part 1, 2, and 3, which offer a variety of examples. These can be used as needed and again can be a great reference. If you have any other questions regarding the different features in digits, please feel free to direct those questions to your teacher.